African Safari Wildlife Park is a wild experience with over 800 exotic animals. Our drive-through safari features giraffes, zebras, deer, elk, alpacas, and even a white bison, all of which you can feed right from your vehicle. Walk on the wild side with a Zoo-It-All pass and feed kangaroos, porcupines, tortoises, and rabbits. Step into our aviary adventure and hand-feed budgies for a memorable experience. Check out our live educational shows or ride a camel. Create memories that will last a lifetime at the Ohio Safari Park, African Safari Wildlife Park in Port Clinton.
Well, happy Thursday, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the morning show right here on Main Street TV. And, of course, Jennifer here to start off our morning with our good friend and guy about town that knows all about the news, Pete Wilson, and Pete's Morning News Update, brought to you by Nia Henry, agent for Appalachia Realty. And if you're looking to buy or sell or have any real estate needs, you want to talk about someone that's always out about town, that's Nia, and you can give her a call at 740-418-4135, and she'll be out working hard for you.
Right, and business is so good in the real estate business right now that that Nia does 2 cell phones at once.
She does. I don't know how she drives with 2 cell phones in her ear, but she manages it.
She finds a way.
It's amazing. That's why you give her a call.
Exactly. She's definitely the gal about town on that.
She is. So, Pete, how you doing today?
I'm doing very well.
You looking good in your pink shirt? Do you and John coordinate your pastel shirts?
Not lately.
Okay.
Not lately. But, it may come to that because, we're always looking to improve and coordinate.
Well, he says that Connie dresses him in his pretty pastel shirts. So does Miss Pam coordinate you in your pretty pastel shirts?
Well, she tries to coordinate with me sometimes, or vice versa when I don't know it. So she thinks that's cute.
It is cute. You guys are adorable.
All right. Well, that's very sweet of you.
You are.
Okay. Well, anyway, let's get to the news.
Let's get to it.
All right.
What the heck was going on in Vinton County yesterday, Pete?
Well, I'll tell you what, the Vinton County Sheriff's Office would like to figure it out because in the middle of the afternoon, they had a call made to the commissioner's office, and the bottom line was it was a bomb threat.
Yeah,
there was some sort of statement made that there may be a bomb in the basement, I think is what I understand. Of course, the building is evacuated. Sheriff's office deputies, law enforcement, firefighters, all there. They called in a bomb-sniffing canine from Ross County, who has a better nose than anybody else.
No doubt.
And in an hour after, of course, the building was evacuated, they were able to determine, there was no evidence of any kind of bomb or explosive device, and they said what they call the building is clear, and everybody was able to come back. Okay. They were able to even finish the workday there.
Were they doing court there or something? Did someone not want to show up?
Well, like I say, the matter is under investigation by the Vinton County Sheriff's Office, and one thing about it, Jennifer. Through the years, when there's been these instances, a lot of times, there is no arrest. It's hard to track down. But more and more, they're able to do this with the type of electronic tracing devices that they have, and the way, you can trace cell phone calls now and like that.
And there's no good old-fashioned payphones for people to call from anymore.
Right. That's very true. Very, very true. We all know about those telephone booths. We're old enough to know about them.
Yes.
None of those around anymore.
No.
But anyway, the bottom line was the hero of the afternoon was the canine Petey from Ross County.
Petey.
Right. They, everybody was there. They were looking in the basement and all, and they kept everybody else outside and away, across the street, just in case there was any incident there. But as it turned out, you can see there's some of the firefighters and county officials standing there in front of the building, and some of the officials, of course, were down in the basement. The county commissioners were involved, of course, being the county officials. There is a picture that we received from actually inside the building as the search was taking place, and the matter, as I say, is under investigation. If anybody has any information, direct or indirect, about who might have done this, please call the Vinton County Sheriff's Office. That number is 740-596-5242. You can also make a connection on their Facebook page. I'm sure they're most interested in the information, not where it came from.
Yeah, what I would assume doing something like that would be a pretty serious charge if someone was charged with something of that nature.
Well,
do you know what that would be?
The charge would normally be, and Red Thompson Jr., who happened to be heading up to Vinton County to cover a meeting later that day, passed the courthouse and saw all this activity. So he was there to cover, the bomb threat there as it happened. And he also has a video, by the way, which you can see on the Telegram website, as well as on a Telegram Facebook page. And also we have stories on the website already and all like that. We'll have something in the print edition too with photos. But as far as the charge, the common charge that you see when there's a threat, like a bomb threat or an active shooter threat, is inducing panic.
Okay.
And that can be a felony charge.
I was going to say that would be frowned upon, I would think.
Right. The law enforcement always tries to send the message. It isn't one of those slap you on the hand. Don't do that again. That causes a lot of trouble.
It's money, time, just a whole lot of unnecessary.
Right, and it's so irresponsible and unnecessary, and somebody definitely who does that needs to answer for it. No doubt about it. And so once again, if anybody does have any information, the main investigative authority there is the Vinton County Sheriff's Office. The call came in about 2 p.m. yesterday, and by 3 o'clock they had the building, as they say, cleared, and everybody was able to come back to work.
Okay.
All right, we have a couple of big continuation stories in the city of Jackson to tell you about. Sure. Earlier in the week, I laid out the fact that the Ohio State Employment Relations Board had come down with an initial decision, what they called proposed orders, that sided with the OPSI union that represents the city's supervisors or superintendents. And I use both of those names because that seems to be a big distinction, whether they're supervisors or superintendents, because supervisors supposedly can't be in a union, superintendents apparently can be. And so, anyway, that's one of the issues behind the scenes that will continue to be examined by reviewers and maybe even a court at some point. The bottom line is that the initial rulings from what we call SERB, as far as the acronym goes, really went against the city. It went in favor of the union, said that the city was wrong to reorganize the supervisory employees or the superintendents into a union. Or away from a union as non-union employees, basically doing the same thing they did with slight differences in their job structure. But also Robin Putker, who was one of those in that union, one of the 8 in that union, she ended up being laid off, is not working right now. And if the proposed orders stick, the city could possibly have to restore those OPSI or restore those supervisory employees into their union positions as opposed to non-union positions, and also give Robin Putker her job back if she wants it. So, that's a big deal if that happens.
I'm sorry, I have a question.
No, that's okay.
Because I've talked to numerous people, and I think you touched on this the other day, Pete, and I don't know enough about it. I know enough to be dangerous and actually stupid. I was told, or I'm under the understanding that supervisors, I thought, could not be in a union.
Right. Well,
didn't you touch on that the other day? And then I've had a couple of people say that since then. So I guess I'm confused what's happening.
One of the city's positions, I guess now it's going to be a defense to try to change things, is that it is in, I've seen it in a couple of passages. It's been brought to my attention, so I know this. It's in a SERB handbook. And it's also in a Ohio Department of Administrative Services document that supervisors are not considered to be eligible for collective bargaining.
So is that where the superintendent comes in?
Right.
Word?
Right. On the union position is that they never were called supervisors. They were called superintendents. The city administration position is that they are supervisors, and even if you call them something else, they supervise. So,
Okay.
Therefore, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. That's kind of the position there.
Sure.
But that's not what SERB ruled or an administrative judge representing CERB in this first
So
decision.
this is kind of some of the sticking point, that supervisor versus
Right, and
superintendent
if you recall,
definition.
right, exactly, that's going to be very big. Now, I'm sure
Okay.
that was part of what was considered in this initial ruling. So what happens now is the city had to make a big decision, the administration and council. They met on Monday night. That was the first meeting after this CERB ruling, or
Right.
initial ruling came out. And they met with Andrew Esposito, who is from a Dublin law firm that has advised them all along on labor relations. He's helped negotiate
Right.
the more recent labor contracts, and he guided them and advised them when they did this reorganization, which, has since been challenged
Mm-hmm.
and held up as, what ought to continue. So, they can say, hey, we're going to accept the CERB ruling and move forward, and, that's what they came up with, and we have to go with it, or we're going to say, no, we don't think that's right. We're going to continue to fight it. That is what the city is going to do. Mayor Evans, after this 1-hour executive session, of which there was no formal action taken by council, he released his statement. It's not very long, so I'm going to read it verbatim.
Sure.
It says, the city believes that the Ohio Revised Code, that's state law, and the state of Ohio's CERB guidebook are clear that supervisors and management level employees are excluded from collective bargaining. The city will file objections to the recent CERB proposed orders and pursue all legal remedies in a fiscally responsible way. Until these cases are finally decided, whether it be CERB or in court, our current department heads will continue to supervise their staff and manage their respective departments as we maintain vital city services. The first way that you, I'm not sure appeal is the right word, but that's kind of what it amounts to,
Sure.
is you go back to CERB and you say, hey, we don't agree with this and this and this, and it ought to be this. A 3-member board of CERB, not the judge that made the initial decision, rules on those exceptions.
Okay.
If the city then is not satisfied and nothing changes, or maybe just part of it changes, they can take the matter to a common pleas court. It goes into a regular court then. So, the issue there, of course, is, there's a lot at stake. So, the city had to make a tough decision. Also, of course, you have, a continued issue going where you have two sides going, and then, have the legal expenses that are involved in that too. So that is where it stands right now. Jennifer, there's going to probably be a period now where it is reviewed by CERB. I'm not exactly sure how long the city has to file its paperwork of exceptions, which are the same as objections. I think you call them objections. And then I don't know how long then CERB has to decide whether there's any merit in these objections that the city will make.
Well, as we say here in Appalachia, we're fixing to find out.
Right, we're fixing to find out, exactly. All right.
Well, it's all a learning curve for everyone, and when things like this happen.
Right, and then another decision that the city will be making, the council will be making, will come next Monday night, of course, and you're very aware of that because it involves us.
It does involve
Main
us.
Street TV.
And this little show right here.
Right, exactly. JCBI, which is under the Total Media umbrella. We've talked about it here, but just if you haven't listened or you're listening for the first time, JCBI has a contract with the city to operate, channel 1020 with Spectrum, which we call Main Street TV. And, our main programming is right here.
We are.
We're here right now, right?
Yes.
Well, of course, we would like to continue that, but our contract expires. Now they say the date is June the 24th. And right now, that extended contract, that new contract has not been approved. Some issues in there that have come out involving the amount of money that JCBI should pay the city. Kind of wide. We say $1, and now they want $1,000. At least that was a position staked out at the May 24th meeting. And then, of course, the length of the contract. It's been 5 years in the past, and they're thinking 1 or 3 years would be better. So, you were there. It was a circuitous discussion. That was the word I used in my newspaper write-up.
So what a
circuitous. It went around and around.
Oh,
and
it did.
And it was not resolved. We're not off the air, and we're not going to be on the air for another 5 years for sure. We don't know until June the 21st because Jackson City Council, at the end of the meeting, because they want to get some more information that they think will help them make the decision, they've scheduled a special meeting for June the 21st. At least that will allow us and everybody else to know where we stand before that expiration date of June the 24th.
You know, you're right, Pete. And listen, knowledge is power. And at the end of the day, certainly we want to be sitting here for, you know, the next several years, and we want to be here for you. But I also understand council's desire, if you will, and I have a desire there are some unanswered questions in relations to the relationship between the cable company and the council, which honestly really isn't any of our business per se, because our contract is with the city, not the cable company, Spectrum. The contract between the city and Spectrum, you know, is that part of it. And then there's the contract between us and the city. And the city has some unanswered questions also in regards to their contract with Spectrum. So there's just a lot out there that's kind of up in the air. And honestly, as far as council goes, and I feel like even as far as us as an entity, would like to have some answers before that Monday meeting and other things are, and you know, the final thing is decided.
Right.
There's just a lot going on.
But if there isn't a resolution involved between the parties, I mean, it is a fact that you know, we can't operate without a contract. We can operate a different way, but we're talking about through
on
the cable,
channel 10,
through the cable TV. Correct. Yeah. We don't want to say that we're going to not be here, but we're not going to be here on TV.
Correct. Like we can
TV
still
channel.
Continue on through our Facebook and YouTube channels and all of that, but on the 24th we won't be here if on Monday, and when I say here, I mean on channel 1020, if on Monday the council decides that they don't want to renew the contract or you know, maybe extend a contract, or you know, do a temporary contract might be an option until
that could happen.
Until more questions are answered. I mean, I think that we would be okay with that.
Well, you know, there's two ways to
which
look
I guess we didn't discuss. I meant to bring that up at the meeting, and you know, you start talking and then you forget about things.
If you're trying to get some information and you're getting it from a third party and you don't know how easy it'll be in this case, information from Spectrum, which is a big company.
Big
company.
We are down here in
Charter
Appalachia.
Communications operating a Spectrum around here.
Yeah.
If you don't get all the answers you want to be able to make a decision, do you say, well, you can't operate until we get that information, or do you say, well, we're going to continue until we get the information? You can go either way on that, and that's a decision council may have to make if some questions are not answered by the 21st. And the 21st, folks, is next Monday. It
is next Monday, so they have called a special meeting to discuss, and I don't even want to say decide our fate, but also just to have time to glean some information from Spectrum and whatever. And I'm interested in finding out too some of the answers to some of the questions that they posed, and I think it's fair to want to get those answers before the rest of it's, you know, talked about.
Right.
So.
Well, you know, it is possible though that if it's unresolved, that at some point, and it's very possible it could be June the 24th, that, you know, we will not be here as far as TV. That's the bottom line.
Right.
And so, you know, we hope for the sake of everybody, because I think that it's in the interest of the city to have a local origination cable TV channel, no matter who does it. And right now, and you know, of course, I have a bias. I'm here. I'm part of the company. There isn't anybody else to do it.
No, and that was brought up in the meeting too. There were a couple of people that showed interest in running the channel for the city, and they quickly, after literally about 13 seconds, backed out and said, oh wait, this is not for us, and whatever. So at this point, we are the only ones, as far as I know, that are interested in continuing on running the channel. We're the ones that have the equipment. We're the ones that know how to do it all, and
right. And
so we'll see.
And the council themselves and the city officials, and I know Randy Evans, the mayor, has been supportive. Nobody is saying, you know, that we're not doing the job. It's just the details of the rights to continue and the issues and details involved in what needs to be approved.
Well,
and there's a little bit of distance there that has to be made up.
There is, and I will tell you, and I do commend them for this, Pete. This city council, while some people might say they're a little tougher than ones in the past, but they also are, the members of this city council are very interested in finding out all of the information and then making a decision. And honestly, I don't see anything wrong with that. I think that it's good. Knowledge is power, and I think at the end of the day, knowing everything before you make a decision on something like this is important. We just selfishly would love for the decision to be in our favor, right, Pete?
Right. Well, we hope that this community will have, will keep its local Origination TV channel.
This is a special little thing that we do here.
Right. Yeah. We enjoy doing it, and it dovetails well with some of the other things we do here at Total Media.
It does, and I've had a few people ask me, I think even some of the council members and maybe some of the city administration, like, name another, municipality that has a channel like this. I'm like, it's special. Mm-hmm. I can't.
Well, and we are excited about being
special.
able to do more and more here.
Yes.
I mean, we really are. Got a lot cooking, So,
we do.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens. You're going to hang around, aren't you?
I will.
Okay, very good.
Yep, fingers crossed, and let's just. I would love to just everybody work together and get this thing resolved.
Right.
So
Okay.
we'll see.
All right. Well, we'll move ahead because we have a very good second half of the show coming on. Something very topical right now.
We do.
But anyway, in Vinton County, a story there. In addition to the bomb threat, later on in the afternoon on State Route 327, about 4 miles north of the county line, there was a very serious single vehicle motorcycle crash. Husband and wife were driving, were on that motorcycle. The husband who was driving when the motorcycle went off the road and crashed, he was fortunately not hurt. However, his wife, Mary Jo Humphrey, she's 74 years old from Valparaiso, Indiana. She was seriously injured, and they flew her to the Wexner OSU Medical Center with those serious injuries. Fortunately, both of them were wearing helmets, but she still suffered serious injuries. All right, we'll have that report, on our website.
Sure.
The most recent meeting of the Wellston City Board of Education, because we got to get some good news in here. They made a big deal, and they should have, congratulating 2 longtime teachers who were very, very highly esteemed in the Wellston district who have retired. They had them as guests at the board meeting. They were Robin Burke and Rick Perdue. They were introduced at the board meeting. If you're watching on TV now, or watching, on Facebook, looking at that quartet of people. Mm-hmm. On the left is Superintendent Karen Bach. Then you have Robin Burke. Then you have Rick Perdue. And then on the right, the far right, is the board president, Brian Kilgore. And Robin Burke and Rick Perdue have both had long careers in education. Not only have they served a long time, but I know that they're highly, highly thought of. Rick, we have a special connection here at Total Media because Rick has been a longtime broadcaster of Wellston sports on the radio, covering the football and basketball games, and so and before that he was a very successful coach as well. He kind of retired from those things just several years ago. Very successful head coach of the girls softball program at Wellston. All right, we go to the south end of the county now, and at the most recent meeting of the Oak Hill Village Council, we had a new councilman sworn into service. We've mentioned him before on TV, but now he is official as a councilman. That is Jeremy Van Dyne. That is Jeremy Van Dyne on the left. He's being sworn into office by Oak Hill Mayor Paul McNeil. That is Jeremy's wife, Shauna, who is holding the Bible. That happened at the last Oak Hill School Board meeting. Another important issue that Oak Hill Village Council is considering, and it looks like they are going to go through with it, but they are letting it go the 3 readings process so the public can weigh in on it. And that is they want to be able to hold their employees. They want to be able to pay them more so they can keep them and reward them. And so there is a major pay raise ordinance that is being considered by Oak Hill Council currently. They normally take 3 readings of legislation. The second reading came at this last meeting. So at the June 22 meeting, will be the next scheduled meeting, they will act on this pay raise ordinance. So far, there's not been any objections that have been mentioned during the meeting that we know of, but it would raise all employees to at least $10 an hour starting wage. Police employees would be paid $12.10 an hour if they're part-time, $14 an hour for full-time officers. And I know that the aim of it all is just not to reward employees, but to keep employees in what is now a very competitive labor market, which you know because you are an entrepreneur. All right, so that's what's going on in Oak Hill. Up Vinton County Way, the 4th of July celebration, they've released a schedule on there. The schedule there'll be events on Friday, July the 2nd, and Saturday, July the 3rd. It'll be a little bit smaller than has been in the past, but remember, couldn't do anything last year because of the pandemic. And of course, it takes money to do these things. The big event on Friday will be a parade downtown. And then on Saturday, that'll be the bigger day. There'll be a Little Miss Vinton County pageant in the afternoon at 3. The big girls will compete for the Miss Vinton County crown at 7 p.m. And then, of course, fireworks will be held on Will Hill at dusk. So fireworks in Vinton County, that's on July the 3rd. All right, so let's see, what else do we have? We've already talked about 4th of July at some of the other places. On the COVID-19 front, today there is a vaccination clinic at the Jackson County Health Department. Now, this is one where you're supposed to have an appointment. And there's probably still time to call.
I'd say so.
Right, but the hours today are 10 a.m. to noon, and then 10 a.m. to noon, and then 1 p.m. to 6:45 p.m. Then on Saturday, there's a walk-in clinic. That's this Saturday, June the 19th. You don't have to have an appointment. 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the health department. No appointment needed.
Nice.
All right, they had the Vax-A-Million sweepstakes again last night, and guess what? We didn't win.
I guess not.
And we haven't really even been close to our neck of the woods. The winners this week were Suzanne Ward from Findlay. She won the $1 million. And Sean Horning, the teenager from Cincinnati, he won the 4-year scholarship.
Cool.
So anyway, one more to go. So if you haven't entered that, it's easy to do online. You just need to do it by, I think, midnight Sunday. And the last drawing will be next Wednesday.
So if you won the Vax-A-Million, would you be here the next day, Pete?
I would be.
I think you would be too.
I would be because I love being here. Why wouldn't I want to do that?
Right? What else would we rather do?
I would buy extra pink shirts. That's what I would do.
I love it. A pink shirt for every day of the month.
That's right. That's right. All right. Okay, we want to tell you this is kind of a boring thing, but it's important if you live in Jackson. They're going to do hydrant maintenance starting Monday, June the 21st.
Oh.
They go all throughout the town. They're starting on the south end of town and the west end of town. Flushing will begin south of South Street and will work towards the north part of the city. Why this is important is because temporarily your water may not be clear when they're in your area because they're flushing those lines when they flush the hydrants. So you might want to avoid maybe washing clothes when you know they're in the neighborhood. City crews will be doing that, not the fire department, but you see them out there in their green vests and like that working. Discoloration is a possibility there if you're washing clothes when this is happening, and the water may be temporarily brown, but if you let it run, it'll be all right. It's certainly safe to use.
Okay.
All right, it's only a temporary situation. There is a blood drive today by the American Red Cross here in Jackson, 2 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. at the First Church of the Nazarene. That's the same place where the health department has been doing all the vaccination clinics previously. And then tomorrow, there will be another blood drive at the Scioto Township Fire Department. That's from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. You are supposed to go online to make an appointment there. It's very easy to do. You can still do that and hit either two of those blood drives. You just have to follow the instructions at redcrossblood.org.
Okay.
That's
very important.
Right. To donate blood, individuals need to bring a blood donor card, a driver's license, or 2 other forms of identification. You have to be 17 years of age or older to donate blood.
Are there any medication restrictions or anything like that on donating blood? Does it say?
It doesn't say anything here.
I always wondered about that.
Right. No, it doesn't say anything here about that. They may do some screening there when you show up. There may be even something online that's a little bit more detailed than the announcements that we
Check
get.
it out.
Right, exactly. And of course, with everything going on, there is a great need for blood.
Yes,
so I know
very
we tell you
much
about
so.
these blood drives, but blood is needed. All right, yesterday, the happiest guy in our house was James Hamilton. Do you know why? Because yesterday
Pink Sturbers?
he went over to Wellston to see Magic Nate.
You got what?
Magic
I
Nate.
thought we weren't allowed to go because we're old.
There's Magic Nate. Now, we don't see James, but he's the guy who took the picture.
Aw,
look at all
man.
those kids. Do they look like they're listening to Magic Nate right now?
I think so. They're having fun.
All right. Well, anyway, that was yesterday at the Jackson Vinton Community Action Building, courtesy of the Sylvester Wellston Memorial Public Library. They're going to have programs all summer to keep kids interested. All of our 4 libraries in Jackson and Vinton counties will be doing it. That's the Jackson City Library in Jackson, the Oak Hill Public Library in Oak Hill, and the Herbert Westcoat Memorial Library in MacArthur. We're going to try to cover some of these events because they're interesting and fun, but also it's good material for the paper and fun things. Like next Wednesday, for instance, here in Jackson, the Jackson City Library will be doing the Barker. We'll have the Barker exotic animals on the lawn of the Lillian Jones Museum.
Oh, we
will be
there.
Right, and we're just not talking about lambs and donkeys and like that. They have some exotic animals, really cool. It's almost like a zoo rolling up right here in Jackson.
Yes, we're so excited about
that. We'll tell you a little bit more about that, but that'll be next Wednesday. And in Saturday's paper, we'll have all that coverage of Magic Nate. Maybe James will talk about it a little bit later on, but he's not going to give away any of Magic Nate's magic tricks.
Did you catch any of the tricks?
He did do a couple of things that are pretty cute.
All right. Okay.
You didn't figure them out?
I'll tell you off the air.
Oh, he's going
He
to.
looked like a fun guy, though.
Yeah,
He looked like a
sounds
fun
like it.
guy. All right. Well, very good then. I'm going to give up my seat to one of our new staffers here at Total Media and specifically at the Telegram, a wonderful young man who graduated from Oak Hill High School named Trevor Bailey. He has hit the ground running, doing all sorts of things, and he is going to be our man out front when Nicole Riegel comes here to do special events in conjunction with, of course, the movie Holler. I'll let him tell you all about it, but we're so delighted to have him on our staff.
Very, very good. Well, thank you, Pete.
All right.
And of course, Pete's Morning News Update brought to you by Nia Henry, agent for Appalachia Realty. If you're looking to buy or sell or have any real estate needs, please give Pete. Well, you can call Pete, but Nia can help you better. 740-418-4135. All right, let's head on over to your Total Media Radio weather forecast. And Jenna pushed all the right buttons, and there it is, where you can download live local radio on your phone by downloading the Total Media Radio app on your Apple App Store or on your Google Play Store. So absolutely gorgeous weather today. Sunny skies, highs around 82 degrees. For tonight, mostly clear with lows pretty cool overnight, around 58. And then those temperatures and the humidity comes back into the forecast as we are looking on Friday at partly cloudy skies, about a 40% chance of some thunderstorms, and highs right back up there to around 89 degrees. So we're keeping an eye on your Father's Day weekend weather forecast, and we'll do some research and report more on that tomorrow, because yesterday didn't say anything about rain on Sunday. Now they're calling for some rain on Sunday. So we will let you know then. All right. Well, welcome to the program.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. And this is our good friend Trevor, and he is now here at the radio and Total Media. So I guess first off, because you haven't been up here before.
No, not yet.
So tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
My name is Trevor Bailey. I'm 21. I currently attend Shawnee State University with a major in English and a minor in communication. I graduated from Oak Hill High School in 2018, so I'm set to graduate from Shawnee this upcoming year. I'm a staff writer for the Telegram, and it's been great so far. Yeah.
All right. Well, welcome.
Thanks for
Happy to
having me.
have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Anytime. And, How was how did the pandemic kind of affect your college career? I'm interested in hearing about that.
It kind of had to transition into an online state as most classes and schools had to. So for about a semester there, I was strictly online. Then this past fall semester, I believe, we transitioned more into a hybrid sort of course set where some classes were taught online and others were in person with limited seating and masks, and we had to wash down our desks and everything. So it was very, very safe, but, well worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. And did you find that were the online college courses a little bit more challenging than, being able to be in the classroom and be, one-on-one with your professor or for, classmates and all of that, where you can kind of bounce things off each other?
Personally, yeah, it was a little more difficult, at least for me. I think I thrive a bit more when I'm actually in a room with a professor, because even though in college you're kind of responsible for yourself, there's a sort of responsibility whenever there's a professor in the classroom actually telling you what you need to do rather than looking at status updates on Blackboard or whatever.
Right, and you have to look them in the eye.
Yeah.
Do your stuff.
Yeah.
You have to answer to them, right?
Right.
Well, very good. Well, Trevor, you have done, a lot of legwork on this Holler movie. And again, if you have not seen Holler, it is at the Tri-City Theater and also the theater down in Gallipolis. And it was written and directed by Jackson's own Nicole Riegel, and so a local girl has actually gone to Hollywood and made a movie. And the cool thing is, not only is she local here, but she shot the movie locally here.
Yeah.
So how's it been to talk with Nicole and cover that? I know Nicole personally. She's just a lovely young lady, and she's a lot of fun to talk to, and very bright.
Yeah. She's been just great throughout this whole thing. My initial interaction with her was, funnily enough, over Instagram.
Sure.
Yeah, Pete asked me to cover the story, and he said if somehow you could set up an interview with her, that'd be great. And, here I'm thinking, okay, this isn't going to be that possible. But
right, how are we going to pull this off?
But on a whim, I reached out to her on her Instagram, and about 1 or 2 days later, actually, I was at my sister's wedding, I believe. She reached out to me and, let me know her contacts at IFC Films and how we could set that up. And about a week and a half later, we set it up. And, she was very lovely to talk to, very intelligent, just a great filmmaker altogether.
She is, and you just wonder, how does a girl from Jackson, Ohio end up out in California and put this movie together, write it, direct it, put all of the moving pieces together to make a film that actually ends up on the big screen and entered into film festivals. And she kind of got the shaft a little bit because this movie about a year ago was entered into a couple of film festivals where she was supposed to do very, very well, and they got canceled because of COVID, and that was very unfortunate.
Yeah.
But
I think she's still been honored with a few awards and nominations. I know that she was honored in a top 10 directors sort of list. I don't know the exact credentials of it, but there was that. And another film festival award, I believe, but I would have to have my notes in front of me. But she's been great so far.
She has. And so what have been some of the interesting things that you have gleaned from, talking with Nicole and researching the movie and all of that? What have you learned from her?
Well, of course, whenever you watch a movie, TV show, whatever, media you consume on a daily basis, you immediately think that you kind of understand the film a bit. You think you know every little detail about it, but when you're actually talking with the person that made the film, you realize you know nothing at all.
Sure.
Yeah, and so
because your interpretation of it is not maybe necessarily what they were thinking.
Right, and so whenever we had our interview, I was asking these questions, and it seemed like no matter what I had to say, she had like 20 more things to say about it. Of course, being the director, so there was just that sort of sense of just knowing more, obviously. You know, it was nice to understand a bit more about the film and have sort of the inside edition of it, you know.
You know, and that just goes back to information is power, right? And
Yeah.
but okay, so this is just so cool. Think about this. And what I mean by that is we have the opportunity, you all out there, on Friday to go to the Tri-City Theater and actually listen in on a question and answer session by Nicole herself, where you can learn all the ins and outs of the movies and what she was thinking and all of that. And never do we ever have the opportunity to talk to a director or a writer about stuff like that. I mean, we are so blessed to be able to literally get inside her mind on Friday out at the theater and figure out what she was going through and thinking. And you don't get to see that very often.
No, not very often at all. And it was just so fascinating to hear sort of the ins and outs and her own perspective on not just the movie, but, you know, Jackson itself, because, of course, being raised here, she, of course, has a lot of opinions. You know, she considers the film sort of semi-autobiographical, so she has a lot of personality put into the film, of course.
Of course, and you know, Ruth is an interesting character in the movie, and I actually got to see it a couple days ago. Have you seen the film?
Yep, seen it twice. It's a good movie. I love it.
Okay.
Right.
So in growing up from here, isn't it interesting to see, like, all of the scenes of
Yeah.
It's almost, and I was saying this, it's almost distracting because, you know, one minute they're in, and it's supposed to be all set in Jackson, right?
Yeah.
But they had shot a lot of it in Chillicothe with the row houses and all that. But so she's walking down the street in Chillicothe, which you know is Chillicothe, and then she like turns a corner and she's in Jackson. You're like,
yeah, it was very jarring. Yeah,
but no one else would notice that other than us.
Yeah, of course. And I, when IFC sent me a screener to watch the movie, so I got to watch it before it was actually out in theaters.
Oh, cool.
When I first started the movie, the first shot obviously is in the back alley.
It's in our back alley. Yeah.
I was watching it and I just had to stand up. I was like, wait a minute, I know that place. I've been there before.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think having that personal connection helps the message get across a lot more.
That's right. So after you watched the movie and how you took the movie versus what Nicole in her mind was trying to get across, were those two different things?
A little bit.
Okay.
I think a lot of people, especially in this area, when they first watch the movie, they will think of it more of a movie about Jackson rather than Jackson just being the setting of the movie. Because, you know, we talked about this a little bit, and she talked more broadly about Appalachia rather than just Jackson. She just used Jackson as a setting.
She just happened to be from here. So
yeah.
That's how it is.
So she said, this isn't just a movie just about Jackson. This is a real systemic thing that happens in a lot of small Appalachian towns. This movie could have easily taken place in West Virginia or anywhere else in Appalachia.
Right.
So.
You know, and so I had this discussion with, I forget who I was talking. Oh, I think it was Phil yesterday. We were talking about it, and you know, I've seen some negative social media posts, and people, you know, we're proud of our little Appalachian town, and I think some people, I don't want to say missed the point, but they took it to heart that this movie was about the town, and I don't look at it about our town in particular. I look at it about the struggle of a young lady that, as you said, could be in any area of our area around here. And, you know, kids everywhere struggle. And there's kids that come from, you know, wealth or privilege. And there's kids that come from that they've got to scratch and do anything that they can to try to make it. And they can choose to either lay down and continue on in the lifestyle in which they've been brought up, or they can scratch and do whatever they have to do to make it out.
Right. And it's
a choice.
Yeah. And when we were talking about the film over the interview, we brushed on that point a little bit, how, you know, audiences may react to it, especially from this area.
Sure.
And she made it a point to talk about how just because she can disagree with people here sometimes, whatever it may be, she can still come back and appreciate them and understand them and have a conversation with them and even make a movie about them because she's been here, she understands the struggles. And so this movie isn't a criticism of Jackson at all. This movie is about people in situations like Ruth who have to struggle to get by and want opportunities that aren't necessarily available here. And she was very adamant about making the point that the antagonist of the film isn't, who you would expect it to be. I'm not going to spoil it for you guys who haven't seen it. But rather it's the systems that put those people in that position, because everyone in the movie is a victim in some sort of way.
Mm-hmm. So. And, I just feel like in growing up, but I guess it's probably not even just Appalach, but certainly that's where we all grew up. Mm-hmm. But I feel like you can put yourself in that position, kind of anywhere. And there's struggles, and there's, a lot of drug use, and there's a lot of things out there, and people trying to drag you down instead of lifting you up.
Yeah, and she even made the point...
And you have to make that decision where you want to go with it.
Yeah, she even pointed out to me that these problems in the film aren't necessarily exclusive to Appalachia. She lives in Los Angeles now, and she pointed out a few details in the movie that are present where she lives in Los Angeles. Sure. It happens everywhere,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's just set here, so... Yeah. But I guess my thought is, if you're watching the film, to look at the big picture of it and not get focused on Jackson. Yeah. And I think that's how we started our conversation. And because it's not about that. It's not making fun of Jackson or people here or belittling it or whatever. It's not about that. It's kind of an awareness thing.
Right. Personally, I think Jackson was represented very genuinely. There was a lot of authenticity in the film, the references to local areas like Sixth Sense, and even the dialects and some of the mannerisms very reminiscent of people I know here in Jackson.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, I think so at least.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, and Courtney's right on this, and she said this a couple of months ago, is you're probably going to have to watch the film a couple of times because you tend to get fixated on looking for stuff number one. So you almost need to watch it again to pick up on maybe some of the things that you lost while you were looking at her running down the street by Belicio or Star Recycling or whatever, because all of those are represented within the film. Yeah. And so it's like, oh, I went to high school with that dude. Yeah. Hey, I know that girl. Like, oh. And so some of that you're like, you lose it.
I certainly had a more engaging experience watching it the second time because after already watching it the first time and seeing all the Jackson set pieces, I was able to actually focus a bit more on the plot and the development of the characters and all that. So definitely watch it more than once if you want the full experience, especially if you're a Jackson local. Yeah.
That's right. And, you have the opportunity to see that through, I think, this weekend. Mm-hmm. I believe it's, when is the movie shown at the theater? And then tell us a little bit about what's going to happen on Friday night, and I know that's why you're up here, and we got off on a tangent.
I believe, based on what Josh Willett told me, the movie's going to be showing until next Thursday, so you still have plenty of time to go see it if you want to.
Okay, so another week.
Yeah. And tomorrow on Friday, Nicole Riegel is going to be joining us here in Jackson at Tri-City Theater to host a Q&A about the film. I'll be there moderating the film myself.
There she is. Yeah. Isn't she cute?
Yeah. And it'll be at 4:45 p.m., the first Q&A, and then 8 p.m. later that evening. So you have two opportunities to attend the Q&A if you really want to join. Like I said, I'll be there moderating. I'll have some questions prepared to ask her. But if you want your own questions to be, answered, I think there's still an opportunity to email tct@gmail.com with your question. That's the Tri-City Theater Gmail if you want to go try your luck. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Yeah. And then you will actually be moderating that.
Yep.
So that's cool. Now, will it be that you're asking all the questions, or will it be that there's people in the audience that will be able to ask questions too? I'm not sure how that
I'm still not entirely
You're not sure
certain
either.
I do believe I'll be asking at least most of the questions. If we open it up to the audience, I'm sure that'll be, Nicole's decision entirely. But as far as I know, I'll be asking questions that have been sent in.
Very good. So you have that opportunity to come to those 2 showings on Friday, and you can buy tickets now. Correct, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's the same way you buy tickets to a regular movie.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you
Make sure you buy those 2 showtimes.
Yeah, so if you buy those 2 showtimes on Friday, though, you're actually going to be able to be part of the question and answer session with Nicole. So you get that little added bonus if you come on Friday.
Yeah, you'll be in my position. You'll know 20 more things than you thought you did about the film.
No, and I think really, as I said before, I mean, what are the chances of actually getting to sit down with the person and get inside their mind? And, you can have your own theory about what the movie is and whatever, but until you get into their mind, it will add a lot of stuff.
Right. You never truly know until you talk to the artist.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Same as painting,
Same
as music, same as everything.
Right, and it's a very rare opportunity, and I appreciate her and those at IFC Films, talking with me, giving me this opportunity, because it is a very rare one that we get to do something like this.
Yeah, I mean, how many movie, writers and directors and producers ever come out of, our Channel 15 viewing area, or Channel 1020 viewing area, like, it's you don't see that very often, so it's pretty cool.
And there's even some local talents featured in the movie, both actors and musicians. I know for a fact Larry Jones, who's from Chillicothe, he has some music in the movie.
Ben Davis Jr. Has a song.
Talked to both of them, both great guys.
Yes.
Yep. So yeah, just keep an eye out for them and others in the movie. Great time.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Definitely.
Yeah, and it's a cool movie, and get out there on Friday, because that will be the bomb. So, all right. So, what does the future hold for you? What are you thinking? You're still in school, but working.
Yeah. So yeah. Whenever I've been asked this question, I've kind of given sort of a half answer before, landing this internship here at Total Media. I wasn't entirely sure what my future kind of held. I've always liked writing. It's always been a big passion of mine, so being in a position where I can write for the news and go out and do things like I'm doing, it's great. I love doing it. It's a good time.
And taking, broadcasting and whatever in school and college as well, a couple years ago.
Yeah.
It's hard. What you all are doing and what Pete does downstairs, and I think people don't understand this, is there's newspaper writing, there's broadcast writing, and y'all are having to do all of it, because newspaper stories are much more in depth. Radio, TV news stories are 10, 15 second stories, and y'all are having to do both of that, and that is very complicated.
It can be sometimes. It can be complicated to try and make the distinction sometimes, because some stories are simply just a few paragraphs, but others are long and very thought out and drawn out, and there's a lot more information and subtext and nuance to it that you have to get across to explain your point.
And it's hard to do that in just a few paragraphs.
Yeah. So it can definitely be a challenge to try and make the distinction. Yeah.
Well, we're happy to have you here on board, and we appreciate, I know you're very busy, and you coming up and chatting with us today, because I think your insight and talking with Nicole and all of that is great, and you've had that fortunate opportunity to get to know her, and so have I, and her parents and grandparents come in the restaurant a lot, and Nicole does when she's in town, and I always enjoy so much talking to her, because I'm so proud of her.
Yeah.
And she's so down to earth.
Oh yeah, for sure. It is certainly, to reiterate her point, it's just a rare opportunity for someone in her position to get to do something like this. It's the success story, Yes. It's interesting to actually witness it.
It is, and couldn't be more proud of her.
Right.
So. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, Trevor, is there anything else while you're here you wanted to tell our viewers?
Let me think. just keep an eye out for Holler, some updates. If you want to follow Nicole, she's at NICRIEGEL on Instagram, at Nick Riegel. She posts about other news stories pertaining to the film and, some updates on her own life. Whenever you watch the movie, keep an eye out for the local talents, because I'm sure they'd appreciate, your support in their endeavors, all that. Just keep an eye out for my stories in the Telegram and other stories in the Telegram. We try to push them out as often as possible, just as the news flows, That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Oh, very good. All right. Well, before we get out of here for the day, did want to thank Mark Carmen, the gang at Carmen's Used Cars. You ever been out by there? If you drive to Oak Hill, I'd say you drive by there every day.
Yeah. Been there a few times.
Yeah, lots of vehicles on the lot. If you're looking for something in particular, they can find it for you. So just give them a call or stop out and see them at Carmen's, corner of State Route 93 South toward Oak Hill, and of course, Standpipe Road. Also, want to give a shout out to our friends at the filling station, Stewart, Broadway, and Penn and Wellston, and Quick Stop. Have you had the crispy crunchy chicken yet from the Quick Stop?
Yes, I have. It's really, really good. Really good. I love it. It's great.
Me too. And can get you. Yeah, it's so good. And you know what? So it comes from this gas station or convenience store, and it can't be good, right? Well, listen, they take fresh chicken, they hand bread it right there. It's got a little bit of a kick to it. They have all different kind of sauces. You can just walk in, grab and go. It's so convenient, and it is delicious. So if you haven't tried it out yet, you're missing out. All right. Well, Trevor, thank you so much for spending your morning with us, and we really appreciate it. And come back. Don't be a stranger, even though you're just downstairs. And again, we will be back tomorrow on Friday. Thanks to Jenna, our little intern, for pushing all the right buttons. And yay, she's doing it. And we will see you tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching.